In the office of Crunch head coach Rob Zettler as Syracuse gets ready for the conference finals. Rob, it's been a little bit of rest for you guys as you had another sweep in round two. What has the last week or so been like?
Well, I guess it's combined a little bit of rest, a little bit of hard work. Actually, a little bit of rest, a lot of hard work. The guys have been going hard. It'll be just over a week by the time we strap on the blades again for real bullets start flying again. But we've been able to mix in some competitive stuff along with some skating and along with some rest, and hopefully that schedule will allow us to come up flying on Saturday night.
And it's not the first time you've dealt with this. Round one, similar story. You guys swept, and then you had to wait for Providence's series to conclude. Providence does it to you again, this time the other way around. They give up a big series lead. So you have that familiarity of resting. We saw it clearly worked in favor of the Crunch against Springfield. Do you expect it to do the same here?
Well, I certainly hope so. Obviously, Wilkes-Barre is a tough team. They play a physical brand of hockey, and they're not going to give us an inch out there without us working for it. So I fully expect that. They're a well-coached team. They work hard. But at the same time, I feel like our guys are really prepared for it. They're excited, ready to go. As you know, we're an attacking, fast team, and I think the rest helps us play to our strength like that, and that's going to be the message to our guys.
And with the Penguins in a historic situation, just the third team in AHL history to overcome that 3-0 deficit, clearly in that locker room, they're going to be talking about momentum and trying to continue that. And you guys will say, hey, but we have the rest. How do you think that breaks down in terms of those guys with the excitement of coming back from that series versus the rest that the Crunch have?
Well, I think at the end of the day, it's something to talk about 3 days previous to the game. And when the puck drops at 7 o'clock on Saturday night, that's all going to go away. Bottom line is, they played last night, although they did play a grueling 7-game series that they fought hard to come back from a 3-0 series deficit. So kudos to them for doing that. But, hopefully they're a little bit banged up and they're a little bit tired, and hopefully we can take advantage of that. We play both Saturday and Sunday night, so I hope and think that will be in our favor. But again, come Saturday night, these guys are professional players and professional athletes. When the puck drops and their competitive juices start flowing, they quickly forget about the last series and get it going again. So by no means do I think this is going to be an easy game or an easy couple games or an easy series. This is going to take everything we got.
The good news for the Crunch is that there's home ice advantage here in round 3 versus round 2. So you start here at Saturday, and if the last game of round 2 is any indication, you'll have a huge crowd and a rocking crowd at the War Memorial. But we talk about the success that the Penguins have had, the momentum. And someone just asked me earlier today, what do they try to do to counterbalance that? And to me, there's something about those first few minutes, the number of games where the team that scores the first goal takes control in the early part of the game. So how crucial is it to get that first goal to set the tone so early in the series and take that momentum away?
It is very important for us. We are throughout the season, we're the best. Well, we have the best record when scoring first. I think maybe we've lost maybe 4 games all year when we've scored first in a regular season. So it's pretty good. And so that's what we aim for. I think you're a better team when you score first. You're confident. You go out there with a little bit more strut in your game. And when you don't score first, you tend to open things up a little bit, trying to crawl back into it. So it's really important for us. Our record shows that we're a good team when we score first. And that's going to be the message to our guys, once again, is to come out and get in attack mode and try and get that first one.
And talking about the Penguins a little bit, unlike your previous opponents, you know the Penguins pretty well. You played them 8 times during the regular season, had 5 wins. Brad Thiessen, who's had a lot of success recently for the Penguins, he lost 2 games against Syracuse this year. So how about the familiarity with the Penguins here in round 3, including their goalie, Brad Thiessen?
Yeah, we know them, and not that it's going to make our job any easier. We kind of know their tendencies and how they like to play. What they like to do in all areas of the ice. But the bottom line is you still have to go out and execute, and you still have to go out and be ready to compete for those hard areas. And Wilkes-Barre does that. They'll go to the hard areas, and they'll make you fight to get to their hard areas in front of the net and in the corners. So, like I said, that's it is what it is. I think they're going to be a tough team. It's probably going to be our toughest opponent yet.
And, of course, one of the opponents from the East Division. You saw Binghamton lose to Wilkes-Barre. Obviously, Syracuse is a great year, but obviously the recent Calder Cup champions, everybody's been coming out of this division, says something about you guys beating each other up over the course of the regular season.
Yeah, there's some talented teams in our division, between us and Wilkes-Barre and Norfolk, and there's just some talented teams with a lot of depth. And so it makes for a real good regular season, and it makes for an interesting playoffs because competitive teams coming out of the same division is good. And we're, selfishly, we are familiar with them. It cuts down on the workload a little bit. We already have some video cut of what their tendencies are. So it's all good.
And with the crunch, we saw Tyler Johnson, Andre Palat put up incredible numbers, 15 points, 14 points for Palat and Johnson, respectively. Cedric Desjardins has got a 7-0 record, and that's wonderful. But you also had there in Game 4 a lot of the secondary players step up. Wyman with a couple of goals, Vlad Mesnikov with his first 2 points, and that sort of secondary production has got to be crucial.
It's critical because as much as you would like to think your top players are going to keep scoring at that pace every night, the reality is at some point they may have an off game. Hopefully it doesn't happen, but they might, and that's when those third, fourth line players need to step up, and certainly they have done that. If not on the score sheet, then in other areas, the Angelides, the Cotes, the Korbovs, the Gudises, the Wymans, all those players have contributed in other ways other than the score sheet. But when they do get a goal, it really helps us. Angelides got the tire got us going in Portland in Game 3 to help the comeback there, and Wyman again scores a big one for us the other night. So that any successful team as throughout a playoff run will have contributions from everybody.
And Palat and Johnson just climbing the Syracuse Crunch all-time postseason scoring. They've only played 7 games. Now, we look at the Penguins side. Clearly, they've had a huge comeback. Looking at the video from them and watching the games the last few days, Chad Kaloruk, who's a former Crunch player, Trevor Smith, these guys are familiar names and faces in Syracuse. Those 2 guys have stood out. Anyone in particular that you've kept an eye on in the last few games with the Penguins?
Well, I think those 2 names really stand out. I think Mormina has really played a lot of minutes for those guys. If you had watched the game at all, you're hearing his name all night long. So he logs a lot of minutes, both penalty kill and PP and regular shift. So our focus will be to make his life a little bit tougher, and certainly for Smith and Clark to get into the hard areas. They're dangerous players and they're smart players. They know where to go.
And we'll start with Saturday's game, and then perhaps 2, 3, 4, and the Crunch are going for another sweep. It's been 7-0 so far, and just taking a step back, what this team has accomplished, and I know not all the way there, but this team has only made it to a conference final once in franchise history. The 7-0, it's only the 10th time in AHL history a team has started with that sort of perfect record. The success the team has had so far, again, I know you're going to temper it because it's not all the way done, but just for this city and this franchise, it's been a terrific start.
Well, the people certainly deserve it. And I mean, the guys in the dressing room deserve it because they've worked hard. The people in the front office deserve it because they've worked their tail off all year long from what I've seen. They've been a great support staff. And certainly the city we're starting to get some real good support, and people are pretty pumped about the Crunch. Whenever I walk around town, I'm getting way to go, coach, and looking forward to the game, coach. So that's really fun, and it's fun for our players to get that kind of support, and I'm really looking forward to Saturday night and to get this place going.
7 down and 8 to go, and win number 8 would be against the Penguins. Rob Zettler, thanks very much. Good luck in the conference final.
Great. Thanks, Dan.
With Rob Zettler, I'm Dan Duva.